Hello there. Do come in, please, and shut the door properly behind you. There is a bit of a nip in the air today, isn't there? It's that sort of damp chill that seems to find its way right into your bones if you're not careful. Go on, hang your coat up on the peg. There's no rush here. Settle yourself down in your favourite chair, the one by the window with the good cushion. I've just put the kettle on, and I think we've caught it just in time. There's truly nothing quite like a quiet moment and a warm cuppa to set the world to rights, is there? While we're waiting for the water to bubble and boil, I wanted to have a little chat with you about something that has been weighing on my mind lately. It is a topic deeply rooted in our morning routines, something we do almost on autopilot. It is about breakfast, specifically that humble, trusty bowl of porridge. Now, I want you to take a deep breath and just relax your shoulders. We are going to have a proper heart-to-heart today. If you're anything like me, you have probably been told for donkey's years that a steaming hot bowl of porridge is the absolute gold standard for starting the day. It's a classic British staple, isn't it? It's woven into our history. Picture the scene. The rain is lashing against the window pane, drumming that steady rhythm. The kitchen is a bit chilly before the heating kicks in, and you sit down to that creamy, steaming bowl. It feels comforting. It feels safe. It feels like a warm hug for your tummy, or as my grandmother used to say with such conviction, it sticks to your ribs. We have been raised to believe, almost religiously, that this is the most sensible, healthy thing we can possibly eat. And in many ways, oats are a wonderful, noble food. They have sustained generations. But let me ask you a very honest question, my dear friend, and I want you to really search your feelings for the answer. How do you actually feel an hour or two after eating it? I want you to close your eyes for a moment and scan your body. Do you feel light, sprightly, and ready to tackle the garden or the housework? Do you feel a clarity of mind? Or, if you are being completely truthful with yourself, do you feel a bit heavy, a bit sluggish perhaps? Maybe you find yourself looking for a biscuit, a piece of toast, or a sit-down by 11 o'clock because your energy has just dipped and the fog has rolled in. It is a strange thing, isn't it? We eat this food thinking we are doing our bodies a great kindness, treating it with respect, yet sometimes our digestion grumbles in protest. We get a bit of wind, a bit of uncomfortable bloating, or just that sensation of being stuffed rather than fueled. It feels like you have swallowed a stone. It can be terribly confusing. You might think, I am doing everything right. I am eating my wholesome grains. So why does my stomach feel like I've swallowed a brick? Well, today we are going to unravel that mystery together. We are going to look at a tiny tweak, just a simple, almost magical change in preparation that turns those humble oats from a heavy filler into a gentle scrubber for your insides. It is not about changing what you eat, but how you treat it before it ever reaches your spoon. To understand why this happens, we need to talk a little bit about how our digestion works, especially as we get a few more years under our belts. We must be honest about aging. It is a privilege, but it brings changes. I like to think of our digestion as the body's stove. When we were young nippers running around in short trousers with skinned knees, that stove was a roaring furnace. It was fierce and powerful. You could throw almost anything onto it. Green apples, stale cake, burnt toast, greasy chips, and it would burn it all up without a whisper of complaint. The fire was raging. But as we mature, and I think this is something we all notice in the quiet moments, that fire naturally settles down a bit. It doesn't burn quite as fiercely as it used to. It becomes a gentle, steady hearth rather than a roaring bonfire. It is still warm, still capable, but it requires better quality fuel and a bit more care. Now, imagine putting damp, heavy logs onto a gentle fire. What happens? It doesn't catch light immediately. It struggles, it smokes, it sputters. It tries its best to break that wood down, but it is hard work.
That smoke, my friend, is exactly what happens in your tummy when you eat foods that are difficult to break down. That smoke is the bloating. It is the gas. It is that uncomfortable pressure that makes you want to loosen your belt a notch and have a lie down. It's frustrating, I know. You're trying to be healthy, you're eating your oats, and yet your stomach complains. It's not your fault. Please don't think you have done anything wrong. It's simply that the oats, in their standard cooked form, might be keeping a secret from you. They're a bit like those damp logs, hard work for a gentle fire. This brings us to the nature of the oat itself. We have to remember what a grain of oat actually is. It isn't just food that appears in a packet, it is a seed. It is a living potential. And like any seed in nature, its primary job is not to be your breakfast. Its job is to survive. It wants to fall into the cold soil, wait through the harsh, freezing winter, and sprout into a new, vibrant plant when the spring comes. Because it wants to survive, nature has given it a protective coat. It's like a suit of armor designed to withstand the elements and the predators.
In the old days, farmers and our ancestors understood this instinctively, but we have rather forgotten it in our modern rush for convenience and speed. This protective coat is very clever, but it can be a bit of a nuisance for us. It locks away all the good nutrients inside the seed, the iron, the zinc, the magnesium, the things we actually want and need for our vitality, and it holds on to them tightly. It is like a locked treasure chest. The seed says, I am not opening this chest until I am sure it is safe to grow. It contains a substance, let's just call it a nutrient locker, that binds these minerals up. Now, here's the trouble. When we take dry oats and simply boil them for a few minutes to make porridge, that lock doesn't open. The heat might soften the oat, it might make it mushy, but it doesn't pick the lock. So you swallow it down, and your poor tummy, your gentle stove, has to work double time to try and crack that chest open. It uses up a lot of energy trying to digest this defended seed. Think about that for a moment. Instead of the food giving you energy immediately, your body has to spend energy just to process it. That is often why you feel that heaviness. Your body is working hard when it should be gathering energy. It is a tax on your system. Have you ever noticed that feeling? That sensation where you eat a meal and immediately feel like you need a nap? That is your body diverting all its resources to the boiler room to try and handle the difficult fuel you've just sent down. I want to pause here for a second and ask you something, just between us. Do you also feel this heaviness after eating? Or perhaps that sudden drop in energy where you feel you could just nod off in the chair? Write in the comments below, I feel the heaviness, if this sounds familiar to you. You are certainly not alone in this, and it helps to know we are all in the same boat. It's not just getting old, it's often just a mismatch between our fuel and our fire. Let's look at the hot bowl of porridge again. We cook it to make it soft, mushy, and palatable. It is lovely in the deep winter, I grant you that. But there is a downside to this cooking process that we rarely discuss. When you boil the oats down into that soft pap, you are breaking down the structure of the grain very quickly. It becomes very easy to swallow, yes, but it also rushes into your blood a bit too fast. It turns into sugar in your blood with alarming speed. Think of it like throwing a scrunched-up ball of newspaper onto the fire. Whoosh, it goes up in a bright, sudden flare of heat. You feel warm and energetic for a moment. You might feel quite perky. But what happens 20 minutes later? The paper is ash, the fire has died down, and you are cold again. That is often the cycle with cooked instant porridge. You get a spike of energy and then a crash. The blood sugar goes up and then it tumbles down. And when it tumbles, what happens? You feel hungry again by mid-morning. You feel a bit irritable. You can't concentrate on your book or your knitting. It is a false economy of energy. But, my dear friend, there is another way. A way the old folks used to do before instant oats and microwaves were even a glint in someone's eye. A way that respects the grain and treats your stomach with a bit more kindness. This brings us to the gut scrubber and the magic of soaking. You might have heard people talking about overnight oats or Bircher muesli. It sounds a bit fancy, perhaps a bit trendy, but it is actually incredibly old-fashioned and sensible. It was developed by a wise doctor in Switzerland a long time ago who understood that raw food has a life force that cooked food sometimes loses. It is simply the art of letting the oats sit in liquid for a good long while before you eat them. It is patience in a bowl. When oats are left raw and soaked rather than boiled to death, they keep their structure. They contain something called resistant starch. Now, don't let the name worry you. It's not complicated. Just think of it like a broom. Cooked porridge is like a soft, wet mop. It slops around. It's comforting, but it doesn't really clean. But soaked oats, they are like a stiff, sturdy broom. This broom travels all the way down through your system. It doesn't just dissolve, it sweeps. It sweeps through your inner garden, tidying as it goes. We have to think of our colon, our lower digestion, as a garden. In that garden, there are billions of tiny helpers, our good bacteria. They are like the earthworms and the bees in a garden. They keep everything healthy. But they need to be fed. They don't like the sugary mush that gets absorbed instantly. They get hungry. Resistant starch, that broom, makes it all the way down to them. It is a feast for these little helpers. When you feed them well with soaked oats, they produce wonderful things for your body that reduce inflammation and keep the colon wall healthy. It helps move things along. It supports regularity without being harsh or having to run to the chemist for a laxative. It is a gentle spring clean every morning, keeping the pipes clear and the house tidy. That feeling of being backed up or sluggish, that is often because the broom hasn't been used in a while. By switching to soaked oats, you are inviting the cleaner in every single day. And the relief, oh, the relief of having a digestion that works like clockwork is something you cannot put a price on. It changes your whole mood. When your tummy is happy, you are happy. But how does soaking actually unlock that treasure chest I mentioned earlier? This is the fascinating part, where nature shows us her brilliance. When you put oats in water, or perhaps a bit of yogurt or milk, and leave them on the counter or in the fridge overnight, something magical happens. The moisture sends a signal to the seed. It whispers to the grain, "Wake up! It is spring! It is wet! It is time to grow!" And because the seed thinks it is time to become a plant, it drops its defenses. It unlocks the chest. The seed effectively says, "Okay, I don't need my armor anymore." It activates enzymes, little keys that open up the nutrient stores. It offers up its goodness willingly. The iron, the zinc, the calcium, all those treasures are no longer hidden away behind the nutrient locker. Your body doesn't have to fight to get them. It just accepts them like a gift. It is almost like the oat begins to digest itself for you. So when you eat it the next morning, your stomach doesn't have to fight with it. The heavy lifting has already been done in the bowl while you were sleeping. Compare the two. Cooked porridge is fast comfort, but the nutrients are locked tight, and the sugar hits you too fast. Soaked oats, on the other hand, have the lock open. The digestion is slower, steadier, and much kinder. It releases energy like a slow-burning oak log, not a sheet of newspaper. You stay full for hours. You don't get the shakes or the hunger pangs. You just feel capable. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I can almost hear you through the screen. But I don't want to eat cold mush. The thought of cold porridge sounds about as appealing as a wet weekend in Bognor. I understand. Truly I do. We are creatures of habit. We like our hot comforts. But bear with me, because the feeling you get afterwards, that lightness, that steady energy, is worth a little experiment.
And you can take the chill off them if you really must, but eating them at room temperature is often quite pleasant once you get used to it. It's fresh. It feels vital. There is another benefit to this soaking method, one that we often try to wash away. When you soak oats, they get a bit, gloopy, a bit slimy. We usually try to hide that texture. We rinse it away or cook it out. But that slime is actually powerful medicine. It is a substance called beta-glucan. I want you to think of it like a soothing balm. Imagine you have a bit of sunburn on your arm. It's red, angry, and sore. You wouldn't scrub it with a stiff brush. You would put cooling aloe vera gel on it to soothe the inflammation. That oat slime is the aloe vera for your insides. It coats the lining of your stomach. It soothes any irritation. If you have ever suffered from a bit of heartburn or that acid feeling, this natural gel is wonderful. It forms a protective barrier that calms everything down. When we boil oats aggressively, we can damage the structure of this delicate balm, but soaking preserves it perfectly. It coats your insides, soothes the lining, and helps keep your blood flowing smooth and clear, without that sticky buildup we all worry about. It works a treat, really. It's nature's own plaster. I have another question for you, and please do share your thoughts, because I love reading them. Have you ever tried soaking your oats before, or has this always seemed a bit too new age for you? Let me know in the comments. I've tried it, or this is new to me. It's fascinating to see how many of us are looking for these simple solutions. So how do we make this palatable? We don't want you eating something that tastes like birdseed, do we? Food must be a joy, or we won't stick with it. Life is too short for bad food. Here is the simple kitchen secret. You don't need any fancy equipment, no blenders, no expensive machines. Just take a mug of rolled oats, not the instant dust, mind you. Get the proper rolled ones that look like squashed discs, and put them in a jar or a bowl. Cover them with about 2 mugs of liquid. This could be water, milk, almond milk, or whatever you fancy. It doesn't need to be exact. You aren't building a piano. And here is the real trick. Add a tiny squeeze of lemon juice, a splash of apple cider vinegar, or a spoon of live yogurt into the mix. Why the acid? Why the lemon or yogurt? This is the key that helps the water whisper to the seed. The acidity helps break down that protective wall even better. It helps the grain open up and soften while you sleep. It pre-digests the oats for you. Just stir it in, then cover it and leave it. That's it. The preparation takes less than 2 minutes. You do it while the kettle boils for your evening tea. Pop it in the fridge or leave it in a cool corner of the kitchen. In the morning, you don't need to cook it. The oats will have soaked up the liquid and become soft and chewable, but they will still have a bit of bite to them, which is good. But please beware the sugar trap. Don't ruin all this good work by burying it under a mountain of brown sugar or golden syrup. That defeats the purpose. That's just throwing paper on the fire again. Instead, grate a fresh apple into it. That adds lovely sweetness and moisture, and the pectin in the apple is another gift for your digestion. Throw in a handful of berries. They're like little jewels of health. A pinch of cinnamon is wonderful for the blood sugar, too. It warms the flavor without adding sugar. Maybe a few nuts for crunch. Keep it honest. Keep it simple.
It tastes fresh, like a summer morning, even in the dead of winter. Now, does this mean you can never have a hot bowl of porridge again? Good heavens, now. I'm not a drill sergeant. We have to be sensible. There is a time and a place for everything. We must listen to the seasons and listen to our bodies. If it is deep midwinter, snow is on the ground, the pipes are freezing, and you are feeling a bit fragile or under the weather, have the hot porridge. It's comforting. It warms the soul. There is a psychological benefit to hot food that we cannot ignore. But if you are feeling sluggish, if you've been feeling a bit bloated, or if you have a long day ahead and need steady energy that won't let you down by 11 a.m., go for the soaked oats. They are the superior fuel for a long day. They are the diesel for the long haul, whereas cooked porridge is the petrol for the quick sprint. Think of it as listening to your body. Our bodies are constantly talking to us, whispering about what they need. The bloating, the fatigue, the heaviness, these are not punishments, they are messages. They are the body saying, please give me something lighter. Give me something I can work with. Start small. Why not try the soaked version just twice a week? Treat it as an experiment. Be a scientist in your own kitchen. See if your inner stove doesn't burn a little cleaner. See if that heavy fog clears a bit. You might find that your joints feel a little less stiff or your mind feels a little sharper. It is remarkable, isn't it, how the solutions to our problems are often right there in our kitchen cupboards. We don't always need expensive supplements or fancy gadgets or the latest miracle cure from the internet. Sometimes it's just about treating the grain with a bit of patience. It's about understanding that nature takes its time, and perhaps we should too. We live in such a hurried world. Everything is instant. Instant coffee, instant messaging, instant oats. But our bodies are ancient. They work on nature's time, not internet time. By slowing down the preparation, by soaking the oats, we are syncing back up with the rhythm of our own biology. I really want you to give this a go. It is such a small thing, but small things accumulate. A small change in breakfast can lead to a better morning, which leads to a better day, which leads to a better life. It's the butterfly effect, starting in your cereal bowl. Now, I must add a little note here just to be sensible and safe. We are chatting as friends, but I am not a doctor. This information is educational, intended to help you understand your food better. It works a treat for many, but please do not change your doctor's treatment or ignore professional advice based on our chat.
We must always be wise and careful with our health. If you have specific dietary issues, always check with the professionals. So here is my suggestion to you. Give it a go tonight. Just pop some oats in a jar, add your liquid and a spoon of yogurt, let them sleep, and see if you don't feel a bit more sprightly tomorrow morning. Imagine waking up and your breakfast is already made, waiting for you. That's a lovely feeling in itself. Your tummy will thank you for the holiday, I promise you. You might just find that the heavy brick feeling is gone, replaced by a spring in your step. Take very good care of yourselves, my friends. It is so important that we look after these vessels we walk around in. Be kind to your digestion, and it will be kind to you. It's been lovely chatting with you. I always enjoy our time together. If this topic interested you and you want to know even more about the science of the gut, you will love this one too. Check out our other great video about the gut scrubber, oats soaked in water versus cooked porridge, which is better. It goes even deeper into the wonders of this simple food. Until next time, keep the kettle warm and stay safe. Cheerio.